Hey, it's John King with Summit Funding, and today I'm going to share with you the answer to a question I get asked all the time. What is going to happen with housing prices going forward? We are right now in the latter half of 2021. We've seen housing prices go up significantly this year, and a lot of people are asking, can this be sustained? Are we going to see housing prices continue going up like this, or are we in for a crash? So I thought I'd share this video so that you can get a feel for what I'm thinking about where housing prices are going. Clearly, I cannot predict the future. Nobody can. If I was predicting the future or able to predict the future, I certainly wouldn't be doing this job. So bottom line is, I don't know what's really going to happen, but these are some of the data points and some of the thoughts that I have that I think are going to drive housing prices over the next 5 to 10 years. And so let me share with you kind of what I see. And I want to talk a little about kind of I want to talk about the concept of home ownership rates. Home ownership rates, or what we want to call household formations. That is the number of households that have been created. So a household is simply a number of people living in one house. And when somebody grows up and they decide to move out on their own, then they separate from being in one household to a second household. And that is obviously how we grow household numbers. But the problem is household numbers haven't grown as much as we expected them to over the last 10 years. And I'm going to explain to you why, because ultimately what's going to drive housing prices over the next 5 years is a continual catch up in household formations over that 5-year time frame. And I'm going to show you really quickly what I mean by that. So first and foremost, a little bit of background data. Here's what we're talking about. Young adults living with their parents. So I've got some information from the Urban Institute, talks about the total number of adults living with their parents. In 2001, 10.6% of people ages 25 to 34 lived with their parents. That went up to 17.6% in 2010. This data is most updated in 2018. 22% of young adults, 25 to 30 years old, 25 to 34 years old, are living with their parents. This is the reason why we've seen a shift, and it really came from the housing crash that happened in 2007, and you had a significant number of people who either couldn't get into the market or they decided they didn't want to because their parents lost a home, their grandparents lost a home, and these young adults decided, I don't really want to get into the housing market and risk going into the same things that I saw with my parents. So here's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with when generations typically buy homes, which kind of plays into what I've been talking about. So what you're going to see here, prime home buying years, 25 to 34 years old and 35 to 44 years old. Those are the prime years historically when people have bought homes. And what you'll notice is that the younger millennials and even the older millennials are way below the trend. So they're in this 25 to 34-year-old range, and significantly fewer of them are owning homes than what we're buying homes in that age range of 25 to 34 years old compared with the older generation. So there's been a generational shift, but what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a change in attitude. I am seeing personally, I'm reading data that, hey, I'm now 35 years old and I want to get married and I want to have a kid and I want to live somewhere other than my parents' basements. So these people are now going out and buying homes. That's putting a huge amount of pressure on the number of houses that are available for them to rent and the number of houses available for them to buy. Because if the people are going out and renting homes and there's not enough rental homes out there, then the prices for rents are going to keep going up. And at a certain point, the tipping point hits for somebody to say, well, if I'm paying so much in rent, I might as well buy. So those people are becoming buyers, plus people that just didn't want to rent are being buyers, and there aren't enough houses being built. There aren't enough homes out there. And so we're going to continue to run into this problem, I think, until 2025 to 2026, because we're in a major catch-up period where we've got all of these people who are trying to become homeowners again, and we didn't build a lot of homes in 2010 to 2020. The housing market shrank because of the financial crisis that we hit in 2007, 2008. The building industry slowed way down. That caused us to get behind the curve. Very, very simply, there are not enough homes out there. There are more people wanting to buy homes or become renters. That is going to continue to put upward pressure on the price of houses. I believe we're going to continue. I'm not saying a straight upward swing. I'm not saying there's not going to be a little bit of movement in between, just like what we're seeing right now, where we see a little bit of a leveling off of the craziness that we saw over the last 6 months. But that's not a house price drop. That's simply a leveling off of the crazy expectations of sellers that we've been seeing, which the buyers have been living up to those expectations and paying significantly more. And in some cases, buyers aren't, well, there aren't as many buyers. They're not willing to pay as much over list price, but they're still paying at least the list price, if not above. So I really think that we're in for sustained housing growth for about the next 5 years. And so if you or someone you know is unsure about where to go from here, please give me a call. I'd love the opportunity to help you get financed, figure out how this market will work for you, and make sure that you take all the right steps necessary to be successful. Thanks and have an amazing day.